Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and it's just me by myself, staring at an empty other chair because nobody else could record. I'm really going to have to make some new friends or start branching out via the internet or something. I don't fucking know. There's a specific reason that it's been 2 weeks and some change since you've heard from me, and that is because I've been busy taking care of my kids' heads, digging for lice.
God damn it.
And at this point, I can't even remember how many times the 6-year-old's had it. She's had it 5 or 6 times. The 3, almost 4-year-old here's got a birthday coming up. She's had it 2 or 3 times. I'm so fucking tired of this shit. I'm like a pro. The first time it happened was when Juice was 3. And I distinctly remember being in my parents' kitchen and she was watching TV with her chin resting on her elbow on the counter, standing up on a chair, and I'm just standing there next to her, and I see something move on the side of her head. I'm like, the fuck was that? So I start digging through hair. Sure as shit, there I see a bug moving, and I couldn't catch the fucker fast enough. That freaked me out, because I took her home right then and there, and we had to do the shampoo, and I didn't know if you're supposed to do it wet or dry, so I fucked that up the first time. And then I don't even know how many hours I spent picking through her goddamn hair. And I felt so bad because she kept crying because I'd be pulling these stupid fucking nits, those are the eggs, out of her hair. And they're always down right by the stem of where a hair meets the follicle. She'd be like, ow, daddy. Yeah. So I felt bad and I bought her some little mini blind bag My Little Ponies to make her feel better about it. That's also when I learned that you need a good pair of glasses. Like either a big magnifying glass or one of those like magnified lenses with the light on it that people use for like painting miniatured figures or doing crafts. Or in my case, the strongest fucking reading glasses that you can find at Walmart. Like these things are ridiculous. I imagine that if Mr. Magoo was not virtually blind, he would need something like this just to read a menu. So if you ever see an old person out to eat pulling out a pair of cheaters just to see what's on the grub list, yeah, it's those. They're ridiculous. And that first time I was so confident I did such an awesome job picking through her head because I spent fucking hours. Like over the span of all the times they've had it between them. I bet you I've lost 2 full days of my life. Roughly, picking through kids' hair, and it's so brutal. But then, sure as shit, a couple days later, I'm getting them out of the tub, and I'm drying her hair, and what do I see? I see another fucking bug on her head, because I missed an egg, and that egg hatched. I think, is what happened. I don't know. The point is that she was going to this one school for preschool, and she had it again. So I had to start the whole fucking process over. And I remember that my old man had come over to work on something on the house, and I heard him pull up, so I go look out the back window, and he's like, what's wrong? You look pissed. I'm like, she fucking has lice again. Get in here. So I had to have him distract the baby, Chi-Chi. And yeah, that was fucking terrible. Then there was the third time. Not too long thereafter, the first 2. Same school, same class, same issue, fucking found one crawling on her goddamn head. They had individual cubbies that they shared with another kid, or they had multiple kids share a cubby because they had different classes throughout the day. They only go for 3-4 hours. So then, being the insane parent that I did there, I had to make them also take her snow pants and jacket and shit and hang it around the corner away from everybody so I could finally lick the whole lice thing. It was really pissing me off. And at that point, I realized that it's not me, it's some other fucking parents. And they say that, lice, they go from kid to kid. But it's only if they like hug and they share hats or dress up clothes or combs and brushes and shit. Like anybody that tells you that they think lice can jump or fly, they cannot. They skitter. They scurry. And they're fucking quick. So if you see them and you can't grab them fast enough, boom, they're gone. Take you 20 goddamn minutes to find little fuckers. So what I did, because of that class was very ethnically diverse, is they had sent notes home. And I did what any hot-blooded American would do. I blamed immigrants. And I just thought, there's 3 or 4 kids' families in this class, and the parents show up to drop them off. And I know these motherfuckers don't speak English, because these kids show up speaking one native tongue, and then they switch to English for class. So these parents are probably getting these fucking notes home in English, and nobody's reading this shit. And then you get these half-ass loser parents, because there were some scrubby kids in there. There was a little girl in there named Brooklyn, and I don't want to speculate, but I never met her dad. And a name like that, you're pretty much guaranteeing that your daughter's going to end up swinging from the pole for work in her late teens and early 20s. And I blame shitty parents like that don't take the time to really dig through their kid's head. You might look through your kid's hair and be like, nah, it looks fine. They're fine. Yeah, they're probably not fine. That's the thing is, if you don't see a bug move or you don't get right up on their scalp, you're not going to see this shit. Which, by the way, this is also going to be a how-to for some parents. You can hear my stories. You can hear how I deal with it. You can hear me tell Buddy to shut the fuck up! God damn it. So, once again, we're back to the reading glasses. Get them on. Get right up in that kid's hair and just go strand by strand, section by section. I'm talking you're going to be 2 or 3 inches from their fucking head. And their neck's going to get stiff, and your neck's going to get stiff, and your eyes are going to go batty, and you're going to get bored as shit. So my advice there, put on some fucking calming music. Maybe something like the local classical music station, or anything by Plex, or Stellar Drone helps to calm me. The most recent bout we had last weekend that I'll get to later, I was listening to the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack from Super Nintendo. So I had to listen to music from my favorite video game series of all time just to get me in the zone. So there I was one time at the park with my kid. A busy day. It was summer. Lice is typically like a winter season issue because hats, coats, gloves, all that shit. Summer you wouldn't really think, but then again, lice are getting so prevalent and people aren't taking the time to fucking handle them properly because they're pussies and they don't want to use the lice shampoo. We're standing there and I noticed that my 2-year-old's scratching her head. I'm like, that's weird. And then she does it again and again in the span of like a minute and a half. I'm like, shit. So I pick her up. I'm like, come here. I take her to a bench and I sit down and she doesn't want to sit still. So I wrap my legs around her midsection and I start picking through her hair. Well, there they are, some eggs, and not like a few, like a bunch. So I'm already pissed off. We were going to have a nice day at the park. I'm fucking exhausted because I was working 3rd shift at the time, and I don't sleep worth a shit on my days off because I have to try to, get it in like a normal person, which doesn't work because I'm a fucking vampire pretty much. And I'm picking and she's crying, and I'm like, it's okay, just relax, hold still. So this lady, who probably meant well, but in my book was a dumb bitch, walks up and goes, oh, they have a place now where you can take them to get that taken care of. They pick out the eggs and the bugs for you. And I just looked at her like, lady, that ain't in the budget. I don't know what your life is like, but I don't just have money to give to strangers to pick eggs out of my kid's head. That's all me. So thanks. And then I get her home. Now, once again, she's 2, and I sat her in her high chair, and I strapped her in, and it's bad enough that she didn't want me picking through her head. But the sheer number of eggs, dear sweet God. And here's another piece of advice. What to do with the bugs and the eggs after you pick them out of their fucking head. My suggestion is to take some box tape. It is clear, it is wide, it is better than Scotch tape. You take it, you fold a piece over, and you stick it to a table or a surface that you're sitting next to. And then every time you pick out a bug or an egg, stick it to that piece of tape. Here's why. Your average louse will poop out 4 to 6 eggs a day. That's the internet's estimate. I would say 6 to 10. So you take the number of eggs and you take the number of bugs, and then you divide the number of eggs by the number of bugs, and whatever answer you get is the number of days your kid has probably had this shit without you noticing it, and not to mention that they don't just start pooping out eggs immediately. Unless you get like an adult louse. If it's like a nymph, which is a baby louse, freshly hatched, it's got to feed for like days, almost a week before it can start laying eggs. Now, you might ask yourself, how do I know what to look for? What does a louse look like? For that, I'm going to turn it over to what do we call a correspondent, Captain Brownbeard the Pirate.
Hi, Brownbeard here. Apparently, I've been tasked with describing to you a louse. A louse is what Fuckface over here calls a hair bug. And here's how you know if you see one. Do you remember the movie Starship Troopers? Did you ever see that one? Think of the bugs that were in Starship Troopers. They were kind of like gnarly, pinchy mouth little spider crawly things. Lice look nothing like the bugs from Starship Troopers. But it's a badass movie, and I wanted to bring it up because it's got that scene where they're in the co-ed showers, and there's the guy standing around soaping up, and they get to see all the girls' boobies. I like boobies. You like boobies. Everyone likes boobies. All right, so the point here is watch Starship Troopers. There are boobies. If you want to know what a louse looks like, fucking Google it. I mean, just do what everybody else does. Well, they're little bug things. I don't know. They're kind of clear or something. I don't know. I mean, really, Starship Troopers has like tons of good action. And the guy who plays Johnny Rico, that Casper Van Diem, he's pretty dreamy. I wouldn't kick him out of bed. And then there's that redhead chick that's his friend in the movie. And spoiler alert, they end up hooking up at the end because his girlfriend and him break up. And then he nails that chick. And I got to say, good on him for bedding her down because she is, oh, dear Christ, she's like a 10 for me. I'd fuck her 6 ways from Sunday, and then I'd slap her in the face with it when I was done. I hope this was helpful. Well, back to you, dickhead.
Probably should have seen that coming. That did not help. Interesting, but anyway, so the bugs are clear. They have 6 legs. They have a long oval-shaped butt with a black dot where the thorax meets the rest of the body. And if there's a little bit of red inside of their butt, they have recently drank blood because they're blood drinkers.
Hey, Zipboard.
So by the time I was done, it was 5 fucking hours I was picking through her head, and she was crying the whole time. And just, I can only imagine that this is similar to the kind of extreme sensory overload, stress-induced interrogation that they put Taliban insurgent detainees through at Guantanamo Bay. It's pretty much like fucking torture. Your nerves are shot when you're doing this shit. So 5 fucking hours, 90-some eggs, and I was finding them that day and the next few days. I just kept finding them. Tip number 3. Sunlight makes it a lot easier to see this shit because these eggs are tiny and they're oval shaped with a little tail. If they're white, that means they're either non-viable or one that hatched a louse. If they're brownish or yellowish, yeah, they're ready to go. They're a good egg that's gonna hatch another bug. So something about natural sunlight makes them easier to see. Otherwise, if you're in the house, get white lighting, not yellow lighting bulbs. And I suggest those CFL compact fluorescent light bulbs, those little swirly fuckers. If you got a fluorescent shop light, that's awesome. That'll work too. But the whiter and brighter the light, the easier they are to see. So 90 plus eggs out of this kid's head, hours spent looking through. I tried to nail it down to the source, and the best I could assume was she had been up at the lake with my parents, And my mom told the next door neighbor lady, just to be nice, because Chi-Chi had been playing with her kids, and my mom says this, the little one we had with us last weekend got lice, so I just wanted to make you aware. So here's the neighbor lady.
Well, I guess I'll wash all the blankets and stuff again.
Again.
Meaning, through deductive logic, she probably got it while playing with your fucking kids. And being the passive-aggressive bitch that my mom can be sometimes, where she'll talk a bunch of shit about people that she doesn't know, but anyone that she does know, she doesn't like to assess any blame to them because they're nice enough to actually talk to her, whereas most of the world wants nothing to do with her socially awkward, tactless, boorish ass. So anybody that, is nice enough to talk to her, it couldn't have been them, no.
Damn, how fucking stupid are you?
But it was summer, so, there wasn't like a long trail that I could follow to find this shit out. After the first incident with Chi-Chi, I figured there's no way this kid is going to get this for a long time because winter is months away. But sure as shit, their mom,
The Beast,
and her boyfriend, Loverboy, had his kids over. And, it turns out that Loverboy's oldest was like 11 at the time. And a month earlier, she told her mom she thought she had lice. Well, her mom's a piece of shit. Didn't do anything about it. So this poor girl went a whole month without anybody looking at her head or doing anything.
What?
Plus, they're 6-year-old at the time. So these kids came over, played with my kids, gave them lice. She brought home the girls and mentioned the whole thing about Loverboy's daughter. And here's not the way to start any conversation with me. Look, don't get mad, all right? But...
Don't get mad, but...
And it's the but that royally fucks with my head. And, Loverboy goes picking through his oldest daughter's head. And he saw so much shit moving around, it fucking spooked him. I mean, he spent hours and hours and hours cleaning his kids. Luckily, when
The Beast
dropped him back off to me, which, by the way, I was nice enough to let the girls go over and play with his kids while they were visiting on a weekend that was my time. So, no good deed goes unpunished there. She gets them to me. I look in their head. I see some eggs. I see a couple of bugs on each of them. I pick them. I flick them. I caught it early, which was good. Another tip. When I said hugging and hair-to-hair contact, if you got girls, man, tie their hair back in a ponytail or braid it as often as you can. And then they have tea tree oil mix. Leave-on conditioner that you put in there apparently repels them. I don't know. If there's a science behind it. I haven't taken the time to ask Dr. Google yet. Anyways, so yes, hair-to-hair contact. I couldn't be blessed with boys in this instance, which normally I want nothing to do with loud boys and their dirty wieners and they're always breaking shit. But if boys get it, you got it made in the shade because you just shampoo them and then shave their head. Or maybe you just shave their head. I don't fucking know. I can't Sinead O'Connor either one of my daughters because they're going to cry and the school's going to call me and ask what the fuck is going on. And I'm going to have to be like, well, you don't do a good enough job of screening the kids for lice because the school nurse won't do shit most of the time. They rule it not a health risk. So if they go to the nurse, she sees it. She don't treat them. She doesn't pick anything out. She just goes, yeah, there's eggs. Or, yeah, there's bugs. Sends them right back to fucking class so they can spread it amongst all the other little shit rats. And which drives me up a goddamn wall to the point where I almost went to a fucking PTO meeting to raise hell about the policy at some of these fucking schools. Like, seriously? How hard is it to sign a waiver that the nurse can throw a little bug shampoo in the kid's head for you and then rinse it out? And then just like comb it a little. She doesn't have to pick them clean, but she's a school nurse. And yes, there are hundreds of kids at every school on average, but is she really so busy that she can't put a little shampoo in the kid's head and lather it up? That takes 2 minutes. And then they sit there for 15 minutes while she flicks her bean or jots some notes or fills some fucking little jars with cough drops or whatever worthless bullshit that your school nurse does. Or treating the other kids that have the problem, and then you rinse the kid's head out. Oh my God, you've spent a grand total of 5 minutes on that kid out of an 8-hour to 9-hour fucking day. Please help us. Parents are busy. Many families have two parents working to make ends meet. And this is exactly why I didn't want to have kids, because I don't like dealing with this shit. You want some advice? You want a reason not to have children? Lice and modern schools' laissez-faire attitude towards letting that shit run rampant around school is a great reason to keep your fucking knees together or go get clipped. Which leads us to recently. My days off from work and when I had the girl started on a Saturday. This is 2 weeks ago now, I think. I honestly, time flies and I'm out of my mind, batty, from dealing with this shit. And we're at Grand Slam. It's a party place for kids. There's bumper cars, mini golf, batting cages, a playground, crappy prize games, and a counter where you can go and select all the finest spider rings, 5-cent candies, and rubber hard-boiled eggs money can not buy anywhere else somehow. The girls went to a birthday party for one of the Juice's former classmates from, ironically, the class where she first got lice. So she hasn't seen this girl in a while, and the other girl missed the Juice, so they went to the party. So
The Beast
takes them there. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. I wanted my kid to have a good time. Obviously, this other little girl liked the Juice. I like the Juice having friends. Everybody wants their kid to have friends and be popular. And we get there. And the first thing I notice is that this other girl's mom is kind of ghetto. And she's got a booty. And she's wearing white fucking painted on pants and has a black thong on that you can see when she walks by. It's neither here nor there, but I'm just trying to paint a colorful picture of a blonde white girl that probably likes black dick. Nothing wrong with that. I calls them like I sees them. For some reason, I felt the need to look in the Juice's head, and I thought I saw something, but then I wasn't sure. Maybe my dad's sense was tingling. Fast forward to an hour later. We had made the exchange of the kids at Grand Slam. Brilliant fucking idea there. Public place. So
The Beast
bounced out of there. There I am a short time later. One of the girls scratches their head. And I'm like, let's go sit down at this table over here. At this point, they had been at Grand Slam for 3 hours. They had been in a party room, on the bumper cars, all over the playground, in the game room. God knows where else their coats had been. And I look in the Juice's hair, and sure as shit, there's an egg. And another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And while I'm sitting there picking the Juice's hair in public, because I've been through this so much, I'm tired, I'm stressed out, I hate life. This is the first hour that I'm spending with my kids on my 3.5 days off with them, and this is how this shit starts. So I know my whole weekend is shot. I'm going to be dealing with lice. And I'm in fuck it mode. I don't care. Chi-Chi falls asleep sitting in a chair on the other side of this table. A party shows up and they're trying to lay out presents and cupcakes and shit next to us. They see me picking something out of my kid's hair and they move. And they're probably looking at me like, who is this asshole? Why is he doing this? Because if you've ever been a parent that's in one of these situations, you don't care. I'm not going to hide my kids. Maybe I could have gone to a table out of the way, but like I said, I'm in fuck it, I don't care mode. Manager walks up. Oh, haha, did she get something in her hair or something? He tries to play it off like he doesn't realize what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, lice eggs. So I just happened to notice this shit. Oh, well, do you have to do that here? Like, well, they've been here a while already, and unfortunately for you, you have excellent lighting to see this. I just want to know how bad it is to know what I'm dealing with. I'm not causing a health risk, don't worry. Well, yeah, but you're flicking it on the floor. I'm like, do you know anything about lice?
No.
Really? So you're going to tell me that I'm doing something wrong if you don't know about it? These are eggs, not bugs. I found 0 bugs. Bugs are what you should worry about. But you're probably going to vacuum today at some point, most likely, huh? Yeah? Okay, well, problem solved. These are eggs that will take 7 to 10 days to hatch. So once again, you're going to vacuum. There's no health risk. If I thought I was creating a giant problem for everybody, I wouldn't be doing it, obviously. Then he says this, well, you don't have to get upset. Well, don't fucking talk to me like I'm stupid. I get it. Maybe it's not the most socially acceptable behavior to be picking lice eggs out of my kid's head at a giant party palace and flicking them on your floor. But For all I know, they fucking got him there. And I wanted so badly to be like, well, I'll tell you what. I'll leave, and then on the way out, I'm going to let every parent that I see know that my kid has lice. They've been here for 3 hours. They've been all over your fucking place. And how much money you're going to lose when everybody starts pulling up anchor and getting the fuck out of Dodge. Huh? Yeah. Going to cause quite a stir. So why don't you just give me 5 minutes to get the fuck out? So he walks off. And then we still had to get rid of a few tokens, and then we had to cash in the tickets, and I'm just like trying to not make a scene. And they pick their prizes, and we go home, and I was like stressed, but not. Like, I've been through this so many times that I'm a seasoned vet, and it doesn't faze me so much anymore. Kind of like the first time it happened, I freaked out like some newbie who's on the battlefront for the first time when a gunfight breaks out. Now I'm like a third tour Vietnam vet who's watched a bunch of his buddies get blown to shit. And it doesn't even faze him anymore to see blood and gore and body parts and traps and all kinds of goofy shit. So I'm like, girls, listen. Yes, Daddy? Here's what's happening when we get home. We go to the kitchen. Jackets on the floor. Go directly to your bathroom, not mine. Do not go in my room, your room, the other bathroom, or the living room. You hear me? Yes, Daddy. I took him home. I sat him in the tub. I spent the better part of 7 or 8 hours that day dealing with this shit before I finally was so tired my eyes felt like they were going to fall out of my goddamn skull that I sent him to bed. Thankfully, we caught it early with the Chi-Chi. She only had 1 bug and a few eggs, and she's been clear since. The juice, however, was more work involved. And here's some more tips. Like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them. Quarantine your kids to one room of the house, preferably the bathroom. Sit them in the bathtub. Get the glasses I told you should have. And get over there and start picking some eggs. If you see eggs, fine. Pick a few and then shampoo. If you see a bug, well, shampoo immediately. Try to pick that fucker out. Throw it on a piece of tape, throw it in the toilet. I don't know. Shampoo them. When you rinse them out, do it in a bathtub with, no more than 3-4 inches of water. And just, frantically shake their hair. By this time, 45 minutes shall have passed. The shampoo boxes say 10 minutes. I say no. I say a half hour to 45 minutes. They'll be fine. And once you get the kid out of the tub, don't pull the drain. Leave the water in. Get the kid out. Keep those glasses on. Lean over the side of the tub. Get right by the water and see if you see any bugs floating in the water. If you see a dead louse or maybe one still moving, pick it out. Or just keep track of how many bugs you find. Because like I said before, there's a formula. You want to know how many days you've been dealing with this? You go with the number of eggs divided by the number of bugs. That's how many days. Why is that useful information? Well, if your kids only go to one house in school, it's really not. But because my kids are from a broken family, and they go between my house, their mom's house, their grandma's apartment, my parents' house, school, other places, you want to know how many different households you have to contact and where they could have got it from so you can tell the people that need to treat themselves so that you can try to be part of the solution, not a part of the problem, like these parents don't give a fuck. I forced
The Beast
to get in touch with birthday girl's mom from Grand Slam and say, here's what happened. Your daughter hugged both of my kids before she left. Please pick her hair. She's blonde. Her mom said she was fine. I don't know how much time she spent. That's her problem. We might not ever see that kid again. My point here is don't be a pussy. Don't be scared to notify other parents. You're not the first one to have to tell everybody that your kid had lice because your kid's not the first one to ever have lice. All right? Juice might have had the lice, but I didn't know it ahead of time. We had no idea before we brought her to this party. Now, once upon a time ago, I went to a sleepover when I was a kid, and we were from age ranges 5 to like 11 or 12, all of us. And this girl from down the block got sent over to the birthday party. And then the next day, her mom notified us that she had lice a few days beforehand. So the party kids' families going through their kids' heads. Everybody that was there is going through their shit. Thankfully, only the people that slept next to her on the floor when we camped out in their living room got it. And the thing of it was, she goes, well, I thought she was fine and she didn't want to miss the party. Dude, if your kid had lice a day or two before a birthday party, keep them home. There will be more birthday parties. If it was me, I would be fucking furious. Oh my God, just call me and tell me and say your kid has lice. All right? I'll say, no thank you, invite withdrawn. And, if they start crying, just tell them, I will bring them a fucking piece of cake down to the house myself. I will bring you a goodie bag of leftover party favors if it makes things even better. Stay the fuck away from the other kids. Please don't spread that shit. Don't be a meathead. So, next tip. You are going to, when you're done shampooing, you're going to dry their hair. Get your glasses, get them a comfortable chair to sit in, and then you're going to pick eggs like crazy. All right? They say that you should put this special gel because lice kits are very popular. Not just a shampoo that you can buy by itself. It's a kit with the shampoo, this aerosol spray that's made of permethrin, which is the active ingredient in all this shit, and you spray it on a bunch of surfaces. And then you take this gel and you put it in, you let it dry a little, and then it breaks up the glue because when these bugs poop out the eggs, it comes out in like a glue-like goo that sticks to the hair follicle. It's supposed to get it out easier. I can tell you from experience, it does not. And lice combs can suck my ass because they don't fucking work. If lice combs worked, I would have only spent 1 day of my life between the 6 or 7 outbreaks of this shit. Not fucking 2. What you're going to do now is you're done picking the eggs. Have them camp out on the floor of their room, not in their bed. If they haven't been in their bed in a few days, have them camp out on the floor. That's what I did, and it worked wonders because I had way less shit to launder. But should they have slept in their bed, all the sheets, all the pillowcases, all the blankets into the wash, hot water. I go cold, and then you put the dryer on hot. You need the heat to fucking kill the lice. Stuffed animals. You put them inside of a pillowcase, throw them on high heat setting in the dryer, and that should kill them. Or what I like to do is, if you can do this, put them in a garbage bag and stick them outside if it's cold, because this is normally a winter month thing. And then let them sit there for like 2 or 3 days, and hopefully you don't get a squirrel or a mouse in the bag that tries to make a nest inside of a teddy bear, and then you bring that in your house, and you've got a whole nother adventure on your hands. I thankfully mostly have Beanie Baby size stuffed animals in my house. I stick them in a Target bag, knot it up, throw it in the freezer for like 3-4 days or weeks because I don't have a lot of food in there because I'm a single dad and my fridge is, bereft of multiple kinds of food. There's like yogurt and apples and milk for them and maybe some salad mix and a few condiments, and that's how I roll. So now what you want to do next is vacuum the shit out of your house. Vacuum the shit out of your car and spray that permethrin on car seats, on mattresses and box springs, on crib mattresses, and also couches. So vacuum that shit off too. Maybe let it sit overnight if you can. So now it's the next day. You've taken care of laundering all the bedding, and vacuuming, and treating the kid, and hiding the stuffed animals. Well, guess what? You got to be on that fucking hair every day for the next week. Maybe for a few minutes here and there, but you're going to want to keep checking in different kinds of light at different times of day so you get different angles of light and your eyes are rested or ready or fresh or whatever. Just keep at it, because if you miss one egg like I did the first time with the juice, you got to fucking start all over because that cocksucker will hatch, it'll suck blood, and yeah, you'll be right back to square one. And it's fucking infuriating because it's like, oh, God. Having a secondary infestation of lice because you were sloppy with your work the first time is like having a girlfriend that you didn't break up with very clearly the first time. Like you told her you should see other people or you want some space. I've made this mistake before. I need some space. What you really do is slowly detach and figure out if you're ready to fuck other people, which if you're at that point where you're telling them we should see other people or I need some space, you're ready to fuck other people. And if you're me, you're almost instantly fucking somebody else. It's just, I like to have sex. I like to have someone in my life. I have needs, damn it. Here are some other random tips about treating your children for lice. Keep them home a day from school so you can tackle all this shit. And hopefully, maybe, you call the school and they notify the other parents and the other kids get treated. But either way, if your kid's sitting in a classroom and they're only in one class for the day, which is rare, they're moving all over the building, an extra day gives them time to vacuum the shit out of the area. Especially if you tell the school that your kid had it, the janitor will get a note and he'll hopefully go do extra vacuuming and such. Other tips. Here are things that I have found do not work. Lice combs. The combing gel. Things you learn when you work in a jail. There was a lice outbreak, and by outbreak I mean it was like 3 inmates at the jail I work at. And, well, they tried all kinds of dumbass home remedies. What they did is the girl that had it got on the phone, called her family, had them Google stuff about it, and the next thing you know, somebody's bringing in a jar of mayonnaise for this dumb twat to put in her hair. They say that mayonnaise will suffocate these fuckers, but do you really want your goddamn head to smell like Miracle Whip? No, not if you're normal. So, skip that shit. All right? Just screw the home remedies. Use the shampoos. They work. So, yeah, I mean, if you get it in a communal setting, it's twice as bad, but don't let people give you bad advice on how to deal with it. Even in a correctional facility setting, it is the same. All right? You might have to have one inmate pick another inmate's hair, which that's just the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and it's the blind leading the blind, because your average reading level of these people is like 6th grade, and a lot of them, I'm sorry, are dumb as fuck. They started doing drugs and drinking at an early age because they didn't have proper parental supervision or nobody gave a shit about them. And all those years that smart people spent studying and getting intelligent and book learned, they did not. Once you're done with the shampooing and the picking, before you send them to bed, as a last resort, I say bend them over the bathtub forward, brush the shit out of their hair. Brush, brushity brush, anything that you missed that's loose, you'll jostle it out in the tub, and then you'll look, and maybe you'll find a bug that somehow made it past you, because every bug that you can get just increases your odds for success that first time. And, now that I think about it, I bet you that mostly dumb kids get lice. The dumber your kid is, the more likely they are to get lice. Now, which is ironic because I've talked about my kids getting lice repeatedly, but my kid's nice. She's a hugger. She won't tell you, no, don't come near me. And she's forced to share lockers and cubbies and communal spaces with other kids. When I say dumb kids, I want you to picture the dumbest fucking kid you've ever met. A kid that the second you met him, you went, yeah, that one, retarded. Totally retarded. They're the kid that is like picking their nose and eating it, just looking at you, breathing through their mouth. They're screaming when nothing's going on. They're rolling around on the floor like one of the 3 fucking stooges. They're just going around touching everybody, shaking his head around in a circle. Just take your head, just move in a circle. He'll be that kid, and he'll be running around causing a ruckus. That's the kid that's going to give your kid lice because he's a stupid fuck. Smart kids, they don't get lice. Why? Because they're too busy at home studying. Nobody invites them out to play, so they're not getting that shit as often. So it doesn't take much. Just one kid to fuck up the whole batch. And honestly, if you're going to have other people's kids at your house, just tell them, hey, P.S., this is going to sound psychotic. Look through your kid's head before you send them over. You might be looked at as the creepy parent that orders people to, do some parenting, but I don't want your kid coming to my house and giving it to my kid, and I shouldn't have to deal with it because you're lazy. I don't care how fucking goofy it sounds that I'm telling you what to do with your kid. Just fucking do it, please, because it's a societal problem. It's not just like dirty kids. Because believe it or not, and this is the final tip I'll leave you with, lice like clean hair. Fucking blew my mind when I heard it, but yes, lice like clean hair. You maybe think of lice, you think of Pigpen from Charlie Brown running around with that cloud around him. He probably didn't have it, because all that dirt and grease will suffocate the little fuckers. They want a nice clean scalp that's free of debris, that they can crawl around on and find a nice spot to suck blood, because they suck blood. They do not bite. Those are pubic lice / body lice. And They are not the same as head lice. Bonus tip of information. If you have pets, lice from a person's head getting on your pet isn't a big worry, because according to the internets, lice don't like animals. They don't suck animal blood. It doesn't go from species to species. Jury's out on that one, whether it's true, but I've read it in enough different places that I believe it. Lice is frustrating. I hate it. I'm sorry I have to deal with it. I hope you have found this episode informative. Don't feel bad if you laugh at my pain. Odds are nobody's listening right now because this topic is boring, but I needed an episode. I figured, let's put some self-help out. Let's give some information. Interact with the show on Twitter at what do we call it? That is at what do we call it? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/what do we call it podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann. And that's the end.